Okay, so the day has finally come. It's been, what, 6 months in the making, but I'm going to pull the transmission out of the Mustang. I'm waiting for the nut certs for the Saab so I can drill and add the fuse box for the fog lights. Waiting for a fuel pump on the Honda. So, this is it. I have all the parts I need to put the Mustang back together, and today I have the willpower to do it. Honestly, there is something really cool about the way this car is sitting up high right now. Oh, let's get started. Okay, so step one to removing this transmission out of this car is to turn your knob till it falls off. There's that. I really want to get like a cool nerdy shifter knob like I have in the Saab. Probably not a Pokeball. Maybe something Naruto or Dragon Ball related. Okay. Shift knob is off. Now to pull out this plastic trim that goes around it. There you go. Cigarette lighter wire out. And whatever this plug is connected to the back of it. Apparently there's something my car doesn't have. It's a dead plug right there. This should have came out in one piece, but that didn't happen. Okay, now that the shifter is in neutral, next step is to take out these two bolts on the side. They look like they're going to be 10 millimeters. These are the two bolts right here that are going to be used to take off the shifter. Okay, so here there's going to be 4 bolts to take the shifter boot off, or the internal shifter boot, I think. Right there, right there, right there, and right there. I think it's an 8 millimeter, and it is. Okay, now here's the actual shifter assembly. Take those 4 bolts out there. See how big they're going to be. Bigger than 10. So it turns out that these are 13 millimeter bolts right here. Once I get these off, the shifter assembly should come off. If it wasn't so broke right now, this would be a perfect time to put a short shifter in. Shifter assembly has been held up really tight with a lot of RTV silicone, like a lot of RTV silicone, like an insane amount. So I'm going to skip this part, drain the transmission, unbolt the drive shaft, and come back to it later if I'm able to get it out without taking this out. Okay, so when you go under the car, you should be able to see the transmission drain plug right there. I have a ratchet, just the box end of it hooked onto it. Loosen it, and the fluid should drain out into this pan. Keyword is should. Well, actually the transmission's a lot smaller than I thought it would be. Once I get the transmission oil out of it, I'm going to take the exhaust Y pipe off. Okay, so now I'm underneath the car, pulling off the headers on both sides, or the Y pipe from the headers. Right there, you can get to them from both sides, and right underneath the car. You can see the bolt there, and just use some extensions, like so, and it should be a 15 millimeter. I haven't tightened mine on that much because I did just finish installing headers on the car, and I didn't actually finish installing the whole thing because I knew I had to take the transmission out. Should have just left the exhaust off. And actually, before you take those header bolts off, you gotta take these O2 sensors out. Again, mine are dangling all over the car because I just took off the exhaust, like I said, but usually they'll be tucked up on top of the transmission. So just unclip them. There should be 4 of them. If you can't get them off, you could always screw out the O2 sensors, but that's gonna be a lot more work. Okay, so now next step is to take off these bolts in the back. Luckily, I never really tightened them, so I can just pull them off by hand. But for you guys, you're probably going to need to put some WD-40 on it. And I think the last owner put some kind of louder aftermarket muffler on it. I'm kind of curious to hear what this car sounds like. So there's that out. I should probably move that oil pan before I do it. And drop the Y pipe. Next is the drive shaft. Surprisingly, progress is pretty good so far.
Okay, so this right here is the Y pipe. You can see the 4 O2 sensors right there that will need to be removed. And then the little down pipe or header pipe, 4 catalytic converters. I think a couple of them have been replaced already. And then the thingy that goes into Y. So, drive shaft, here we come. Both the bolts that connected it to the header and the bolt that connected it to the axle back or whatever it's called are all 15mm. Okay, so now to pull the drive shaft off, it's going to be a lot easier to undo the bolt if the parking brake is on. There we go, so that's there.
So oddly enough, that drive shaft bolts are all 12mm 12-point sockets. Yeah, don't use a 6-point socket on that, it's gonna mess it up. And then just pop that in there. Once you get the bottom 4 done, then go and turn the wheels. But yeah, once that's done, then just pop it around. So I was able to get 3 of the bolts. But on the last one, I realized something. My e-brake is on all the way, and none of my wheels on the outside turn. But if you look at that, it looks like my differential might have a lot of play in it. I'm pretty sure this axle won't make it through to the drifting phase. I'll definitely have to swap in a 8.8 out of a GT Mustang with an LSD. I was originally going to weld the diff, but I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, drive shaft is out. Also, be careful when you take that last bolt out, it just falls and almost hit me on my face. I'm gonna pull the drive shaft out of the rear seal now, or the thing in the transmission. I have an oil pan underneath it because my tranny is tilted slightly to the back, so I'm pretty sure that means that there's still a decent amount of fluid left in it. Filming underneath the car is kind of hard. I don't want to put my T6i down here. Oh, there's some fluid. Not much though. I feel like they could be more dramatic, to be honest. Went to all the trouble of setting up the camera and everything. Okay, so next step is the starter motor. Okay, so I'm still underneath the car, and over here I'm going to remove the starter. I'm going to start off by taking that main bolt off, and then I can pull that one bolt. There should be 2 more up top. I can feel them around. I stick my hand up, but it's going to be a little bit difficult to get to them. Okay, no one's gonna believe me if I try and tell them, but this is where the ratchet is, and then this is where the bolt is. There's a solid 2 foot of extension just plugged in back to back to take this starter motor bolt off. It's even more funny when you just see the actual extensions hooked up. Okay, so the starter motor is out. I'm not going to pull it out all the way. I just want to separate it from the actual bell housing itself so I can get to the bolts up top that hold the transmission in. Which are... where the hell are they? What the hell? Okay, anyway. So one bolt is already missing, which is kind of worrying me. Another bolt here. And there should be some more bolts just scattered up right up there. One right here. That bolt's missing too. Holy... oh my god! This car's missing like 3 bolts that hold the transmission in. Dude, that's crazy. Oh my actual god. Wow. Okay. So next step is to get the transmission jack in here and then take this rear transmission mount off and see if I actually have any bolts holding the transmission in. Wait, so in reality all I need to do is take out this transmission cross member. And then that's it, because I already pulled the wiring harness and everything. This is going by really fast.
Yeah. And now we're going to do the bike also, okay?
Yeah.
We'll have to see the bike.
My main thing is I want to fix something with AC.
Okay, so the bolts to take the bell housing off the actual transmission are a lot harder than I gave them credit for. One of the issues that makes it quite difficult is the fact that in my particular case, I had to find them. Not because I didn't know where they were, but because some were missing and some were covered in so much crusted over oil that I didn't know whether they were missing or if they were just hidden from my view. So I love this car, but yeah. And the other thing is the 2 bolts at the very top are super hard to get to. So you're gonna need a lot of extensions and a universal joint. I tried doing it the Chris Fix way, where you went behind the engine on the top and did all that. I don't think that'll work on the 3.8 liter V6. His car was a V8, 4.6, yada yada. Point being, I had to go on with the extensions, lay on the back, try for a long time to match the extension up with the socket, and when I got it, I yanked that thing over, and then I got those 2 bolts out. Getting those 2 bolts out took nearly an hour and 45 minutes, but I did it. Also, when it comes to taking out the bolt that's on the passenger side, make sure that harness plug is disconnected, because if the harness is not removed from the top of the transmission, you will not be able to see the bolt or get the socket on it. So now all I gotta do is pull the clutch cable out. It should be just like pulling out a bicycle cable. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push this back, slide the thing up right here, and I should be able to pull the thing out. And I'll go over the bolts later. So I'm gonna put a screwdriver in here, yank this back, and then pop that out.
Okay, so the transmission is now officially out of the Mustang, as you can clearly tell by the fact that it's laying on a transmission jack. I don't know. Anyway, couple things I realized. Throwout bearing, bad. Clutch fork, could be replaced. And the whole thing is covered in a lot more oil than I thought, and it's definitely been taken apart before, because that RTV that's on there, not supposed to be there. There's RTV in a lot of other places too, that the factory never put. And one thing that kind of concerns me is when you go to the input shaft, this thing wiggles a decent amount. So what I'm thinking is I probably need to rebuild the transmission. To be honest, I'm a little scared to rebuild the transmission, but I found a kit on Amazon for like $320, and I am going to buy it and try to rebuild my own transmission. So until I get enough money for that, transmission is going to be on hold, and so is the Mustang. But the fuel pump just arrived for the Honda, so I'm going to start working on that. Also, I think the Mustang video is probably going to be out before the dropping the fuel tank on the Honda video. But yeah, it's going to be out of order, but it'll make sense when it gets uploaded. Man, like that. Anyway, so progress is being made on the Mustang. Gonna rebuild the transmission, pop it back in there, get a 8.8 rear end with a hydro dual rear brake copper setup, and maybe even some Brembo brakes off an ATS. I've been seeing them online for like $200, and I'm really thinking about it. But right now my main thing is just getting enough money to finish this. So once I put the transmission in, I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to get this car running and get it smogged so I can get some plates on it and fix the AC in my daily. Because it's starting to get hot. But boy, this thing looks kind of sick. And then yeah, there's this. I got some plans for this thing too. It's complicated. Also, I might start uploading some home improvement videos, because I'm running out of time and money. Or I'm running out of projects I can do with the amount of money I have. So yeah, gotta fix a shit ton of stuff from my mom's house. Anyway, if you like this video, hit like. If you want to see more stuff like this, hit subscribe, and do whatever else you do on the internet. Have a good one, guys. Also, I'm really liking that stance. I don't think I'll lower this car. I might do some coilovers or something just to make it perform better while drifting, and definitely an angle kit. But I kind of like that ride height. That gap right there looks kind of mint. Okay.